Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be covering 6 tips for storing your leather bags. If you have a bag collection and you want to protect the longevity of the bag, then this is the video for you. Number 1, never store your bag in the box that it comes in or in a plastic bag. You may be tempted to do this thinking that it's going to keep the bag pristine and looking new, but the reality is that your bag is going to need to breathe, particularly if it's leather. If you leave it in the box for too long, you run a few risks. And mainly it has to do with the potential of the leather deteriorating over time. The bag may dry out inside of the box. It could cause the leather to start flaking, cracking, peeling off. It could cause the dreaded dry rot, which is something that takes some time to happen, and you might see it more in like pre-loved or vintage bags. And this dry rot is caused by a fungus that's really supported by storing the bag improperly for too long. You might have the opposite where the bag could get moldy, but really just leaving the bag in the box, you're running a lot of risks. And I think the easiest thing to occur to your bag is simply that it's just not stored correctly, and if it has a chain, you are running the risk of the chain causing some imprints in the leather, which has happened to me. I have left bags in the boxes for too long, only to open them and to see that they have some kind of dent, some kind of imprint. I have used my blow dryer trick on them, which has helped, and I will link that video up above. I have done a video about that if you're interested in seeing that. Maybe you have the same issue, but my blow dryer trick always helps. Number 2, and I sort of alluded this in number 1, you want to keep your bags in a temperature controlled area. The climate where you live can affect the wear of your bag over time. So if you live in a hot, arid climate like a desert, it can cause the leather to dry out. If you live in a very humid, hot climate like I do in Florida, it can cause mold to grow on your bags. So you want to make sure that the area where you're storing your bag is temperature controlled. This is kind of easy for a lot of households that have air conditioning, and you also might have a smart thermostat like I do. I have the Nest thermostat, and it will tell me what the humidity levels are in my home. I've done some research on the ideal temperatures and humidity levels to store your bags in if you want to get very specific. And most of the tannery websites that I visited recommended storing your bag somewhere in like the 60s to the low 70s Fahrenheit. And as far as the humidity variations, they varied a little bit more. Some websites said, 30 to 60% humidity, but the general consensus seemed to be somewhere around the mid 40s to the mid 50s. If you do live in an area where you're struggling with the humidity inside of your house, you may want to consider maybe getting a dehumidifier to put in the area where you're storing your bag. And then if you live in a cold climate, you're going to want to keep your bags away from any heat sources like radiators that can also affect the leather of your bag. Number 3, keep it away from direct sunlight. Sun bleaches things really quickly. I remember I left a gift bag by my window and just very fast the gift bag faded. Your bag will be no exception. You want to make sure you're storing it in a closet that has no direct sunlight. If your closet does have a window in it, make sure that you have some blinds to block out that sun. Number 4, stuff your bags with some acid-free tissue paper, or if you want something a little bit nicer, you can also find bag pillows that you can put inside of the bag. I'll link some down below as well if you want to find some, and you can usually find them to fit the exact bag that you're looking for. But generally, you want to maintain the shape of your bag, even if it is somewhat of a structured bag over time. You might get like a saggy bottom or something like that. So this will really help prevent that. Store any accessories that come with the bag inside of the bag. So if you have an extra chain, an extra strap, maybe there's a clochette, you want to store that inside of the bag so that number 1, you don't lose it, but number 2, if it's on your bag, it's not left to leave a mark, a scratch, or even an imprint. There are some accessories that you can buy as well if you're interested in taking a step further. For example, if you have the classic flap, you might want to get some of these felt chain protectors that you can buy online. Those will also help prevent any imprints of the chain on your bag over time. The next step is to store it in the dust bag. Your bag will usually come with a dust bag from the designer that you've purchased it from. Most essays will recommend you store the bag in the dust bag because it's really designed to keep the bag clean, as the name would suggest, to keep dust off the bag. If something were to fall in your closet or your shelves, it would help protect the bag. And it is a breathable material, so the leather is still breathing. It's not the same as leaving it inside of the box. Now, as you can see, I don't really do that. I do frequently dust them, check them to make sure that there's nothing that needs to be cleaned or wiped off of them. And when you travel, you especially want to have that dust bag so that you don't get any color transfer from anything else in your suitcase when you're traveling. That's happened to me before. It was a tough lesson to learn. The other thing I will say about the dust bag is make sure that the dust bag won't color transfer onto your bag. There are some dust bags that might be a darker color, and that's just the particular dust bag that comes with that bag. For example, all the Chanel minis will come with a black dust bag, and I have seen sometimes where people get some color transfer from the dust bag. So if you're concerned about that, then you can always just order some dust bags online, but just make sure that it is a breathable material. Now, the final tip is to just really take a look at your storage system. You want to avoid storing your bags on anything that might damage them. So think about those builder grade shelves and closets. I don't know if they're common in other countries, but we have them in the US where they're just these wire bars. And you don't want to store your bags on there because it will definitely cause imprints. You don't want to hang your bags usually from a hook because then the chain might get distorted. If you have a bag that can stand on its own, you want to make sure that you store it on a nice flat surface like a shelf. And if you have a bag that is not structured, sometimes stuffing the bag will be enough to help it stand up. But if you do need something to hang your bag from, there are special hangers that you can buy specifically designed for the bag so that the chains or the handles don't get distorted. And your storage system can be as sophisticated or as simple as you want it to be. There are tons of storage solutions for bags. The main thing is to just keep in mind all the tips that I talked about, especially with the temperature fluctuations, the light sources, and just keeping your bags away from anything that might distort the shape or the handles of your bag. Well, that's it for this video. I hope that these tips help you with any storage questions you might have had. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I hope you will subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one.